Hello everyone and welcome to another podcast commentary. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Brandon.
And Brandon's here with me today to do Men in Black!
That's right.
Yay!
Haven't seen it in a while, I'm excited.
So this is Brandon's second podcast commentary.
That's right.
He came on for Back to the Future. And
Back to the Future Part 1!
We're going to do more Back to the Future, and if this goes well, we might do the rest of Men in Black.
We're going to go back to Back in the Future.
Yeah.
Back to the Future.
So, Men in Black, is this another film franchise that you find as close to as big of a deal as Back to the Future for you, or...?
Okay, Back to the Future, for me, is top of the line.
Right.
Men in Black comes close, but I would put Star Trek in there above Men in Black.
Oh, okay.
I do like Men in Black a lot. Probably, Men in Black and Harry Potter kind of sit on the same level for me. But it's up there. It's pretty good. I like it.
So, if you've never listened to one of our podcast commentaries before, what we do is we talk while watching the movie. So it's a full, hour and 37-minute commentary.
37 minutes.
And you can listen to it without watching the movie if you want to. We'll do our very best to provide enough context for you to listen to the podcast without watching the film. But it's more fun to watch the film. And if you want to do that with us, go ahead and put your DVD or your Blu-ray or however you're going to watch it in your player or whatever right now. Get past the menus, put it to timestamp 0. Get it paused, and be ready to press play whenever I give you the sign. Brandon, are you ready?
I am ready.
How long has it been since you watched this one?
It's been probably 3 years, I would think. 2 or 3 years since I've watched this.
Actually, I watched this one last year when working on the comic book movie trivia books.
Yeah.
So, I've seen this one somewhat recently.
Oh, that's cool.
So, here we go. Men in Black. Press play right now!
You could have said, "Here come the Men in Black."
I could have. That would have been great.
All right.
I've been doing a lot of podcasts with Columbia logos lately. Because Columbia is also in front of Spider-Man.
The Columbia logo, the woman in there, looks a lot like my grandma did when she was younger.
Really?
Yes, it's kind of spooky, actually.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. I don't know too much about this production company.
No, I don't know a great deal about this production company either. I do know a bit about Barry Sonnenfeld, though.
Tell me.
Well, Barry Sonnenfeld, see, when I say that, I'm like, well, I know this. And the live-action Tick series Barry Sonnenfeld did.
Okay.
And he also did Pushing Daisies.
I have not seen Pushing Daisies. Is that any good?
I enjoyed what I saw of it. I haven't watched all of it yet. It was 2 seasons, got canceled prematurely.
Okay.
But a fun show. You would have enjoyed it. I mean, everything Barry Sonnenfeld is this kind of humor.
Okay.
For the most part.
all right.
He has this very quirky kind of sci-fi thing, and... I mean, this is kind of the most sci-fi thing I've seen from him. Other things are kind of like pseudo sci-fi, you know, where they have some kind of supernatural elements, but...
Okay, I want to make a comment here. Rip Torn, who plays Zed.
Yes. But not Lord Zed.
Do you know why he's called Zed in the movie?
Yeah, because Zed's the last letter of the alphabet.
Right. And I didn't know this until quite a few years after I'd seen this. That's how they pronounce it over... across the sea.
That's how they pronounce it in Britain, and I'm pretty sure that's how they pronounce it in Australia also.
Yeah, probably. Well, majority of Australia's population was outcast from Britain as criminals.
Of course, yeah.
So they, not so dissimilar across the Great Pond there. Okay. This is Dragonfly, right?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Brandon, this might seem a little bit unprofessional to me, but I'm going to go turn a light off.
Well, that sounds great, actually. It is kind of hard to see. Exit Captain Logan. Oh.
Is that better?
Much better, but check your levels on your camera here, the light levels.
Oh, yeah, there is that.
I think we'll be fine. Alright, car has gone past the screen. Context. If I remember correctly.
I always like this opening sequence because you wonder this whole time, why are we following a CGI dragonfly?
Yes.
And it's all just so he can get splashed across a windshield. I love that.
Yes.
And again, Sonnenfeld likes to do this kind of thing where he'll throw things in there that you'll think are not going to pay off, that have nothing to do with anything, and then the whole movie is about bugs.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Exactly. You wonder, what does this have to do with anything? And then we get to that great scene. I never considered that, but you're right. But the reason I gave the contextual clue was because, if I remember correctly, when we did Back to the Future, we strayed quite a bit for a while. We got onto some other things, and I'm pretty sure people were probably wondering what we were talking about.
It's like, what scene are you on? Are you even watching the movie anymore? Did you turn it off?
Exactly, yes. No, it's still there. Subtitles.
Yes, subtitles are helpful.
They are indeed.
So, this was based on a comic book, and
was it really?
Yes, indeed, and it was based on a comic that was published by Marvel, and
okay.
I think it jumped to a couple other companies also. It was a very indie sort of thing. It was black and white. It wasn't real well known, and. Again, I think it was, I don't remember who, but I think it was published by somebody else before Marvel got a hold of it. I don't remember exactly. Anyway, it's not something that I knew for a long time either, until, like, 5 or 6 years after it came out.
Okay. Do you remember the cartoon version?
I liked the cartoon.
I liked the cartoon,
I was
too.
never a big fan of that animation style, but the storytelling was okay. Yeah.
I just remember Agent J would come in with a gun and blast an alien, you know?
Yeah, no, that's right.
It was always good.
They were able to do some stuff that you couldn't always get away with in cartoons like that. Because I guess as long as it wasn't human, they didn't care what you killed.
Right, what you killed.
It's kind of funny.
Kill those aliens.
I like Tommy Lee Jones a lot.
I do too, and I think that when he played this character of Agent K with such a straight face and so straight-laced that it really made the character. You couldn't have two Will Smith type characters in this movie. You had to have the straight man and the funny man.
Yeah, and that dynamic is precisely what makes it work.
That's what made it work.
The backdrop is fun. You know, the comedic idea of aliens being everywhere and nobody really knowing that they're there, and the cover-up and all of that, that's all a lot of fun. But if you don't have this dynamic of these two men who start off strangers and become good friends, though they have almost nothing in common.
Nothing in common.
That's what makes it work. And I think that's actually something that the third film found again that the second film had kind of strayed away from.
You're absolutely right, and I know we kind of have a disagreement on whether or not, like, you didn't care for the second film as much as I cared for the second film. I thought it was,
and maybe we'll talk about it if we do it. I don't think the second film really works very well, mostly because it's a pretty obvious premise, and it's not handled with enough care for my taste.
You're right about that. It was all right. It wasn't the best, but the third movie, like you said, really came back to, I think, what they were. What the intent of the entire franchise really was for me.
Neither ever got to this
again,
but I always thought it was very strange that they spread them out over so many years.
Oh, it was, and even the third one was years in the making. They're like, we're going to do it, we're not going to do it. We have part of a script, we have no script.
You know how many years there were between those films? 8.
8, yeah. I think he's getting too old for this.
Well, and that's one of the things that always bothered me about the fact that this franchise is stretched over so many years, because I can't think of a lot of franchises that have really done that, where it's a trilogy spread over like 15 years. And what was the first movie about? It opens with this character already being almost too old to do this job.
That's
and it
true.
ends with he's done with this. He's ready to, like he's put himself on the line for his country, for so long, and he's given up. He's given up his identity. They've given him a number and taken away his name, that kind of thing. And now he gets to get his memory wiped and live the rest of his life in peace. Except he doesn't, because we have to have more films.
Well, here's what happened, and I thought that at least the beginning of the second film had a good premise in saying that, there was just something not right, that even though they neuralized him, he just something wasn't going to work because it's not what he'd been doing for all those years.
That idea was interesting. You're right, and that might have been fun if that had been the focus of the film.
Yes, that would have been a great focus of the film.
That's a great point, but the fact that that's not brought into the forefront.
The first third of the second movie starts out with a great premise. Then the second and third thirds, as they would be.
If we want to think about this like pie.
The last 2/3 will draw a chart.
But anyway, so this movie...
Yes.
Another thing that made this, I think, instantly popular is just the idea of the Neuralyzer. I think people really liked it.
I've always wanted to build one.
These sorts of props in sci-fi movies. I do so much superhero.
I know.
In these kind of sci-fi movies, I think you can't overestimate what they do for an audience's appreciation of these movies, because it gives you it makes it so recognizable. You got lightsabers in Star Wars, you got these things in Men in Black.
But keep in mind that now that when you do have these sort of future visionaries who design these props, then we got something to look for in the future. I mean, look what Star Trek did.
Yeah, but you hope to God we don't end up with these sorts of things,
yes,
right?
But you want something at least kind of...
It's a little terrifying.
Yes, but I've always wanted to take the flash out of a compact camera, out of a disposable camera, and...
you could make one, sure.
Yeah, you could make one of those. That'd be really freaking cool, and you just dress up in a suit, the last suit you'll ever wear, by the way, and put on these really dark Ray-Bans, and you're set,
How much of a fan are you or aren't you of Will Smith?
It depends. I like him in these movies, and I really enjoyed him in these movies, and I liked him in Hitch, and I really liked him in Independence Day.
I liked him in Independence Day also, although I think he's playing this character.
I think you're right.
Day.
I think you're right.
He makes me laugh all the way through this movie. It's very funny.
Definitely.
I've always liked Will Smith, and I think he gets a bad reputation for some people, especially big fans of things that have a source material.
Okay.
That he then winds up in later, because he's done so many adaptations of things, and has played roles that seem kind of counter just because of his ethnicity and things like that. This isn't a racist thing. It's just, would you ever have expected Will Smith in, say, I, Robot, for instance? Something like that.
I would not have, but he was actually, that was another movie that I really enjoyed his performance in.
Okay. I don't like that movie.
You don't like that movie?
Honestly...
Okay, I never read the book, though.
Yeah, if you look at it, here's the thing. I went into it knowing that it wasn't going to be a very faithful adaptation to the source material, and it also advertised itself as, we're not really doing the source material. Right. So that's not such a problem. I just, on the whole, I don't think the movie really works. Like even taken outside of that, it's so short. I mean, it's kind of like Men in Black 2. It's like the meat was gutted out of it, if it ever had any to begin with.
That's true. I'd like to point out that in iRobot, James Cromwell, he did really good. I'd like to see him in a Men in Black movie.
I forgot he was in that, yeah. James Cromwell in Men in Black.
Men in Black, that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, that'd be okay. I mean,
he's tall enough to play a gangly alien. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, so he's like 75, 80 by this point, but so's Tommy Lee Jones.
And he's 75, 80 inches tall,
Right.
Oh, okay, we've got a... Will Smith is currently chasing down a what? Can you remember? A cephalopod.
It's a cephalopod. There you are.
That's right.
I thought of a couple of syllables of that word.
A cephalopod.
And I actually wrote that in my trivia book.
Zed, he chased down a cephalopod.
And then he does the creepy thing with his eyes.
The dude had 2 sets of... What's he say? He had 2 sets of... I want to say eyelids.
Yeah, eyelids,
I was
right.
say eyebrows.
I was like, am I supposed to tell you the technical term for
He's got
eyelids?
4 eyebrows.
Something I hadn't noticed before is that having 2 sets of eyelids, when he closes his eyes like that, you actually see the skin of the second pair. That's creepy.
Yeah.
So here's a guy that I'm totally made to be really happy gets killed and his skin gets worn the rest of the film. They do a great job of that. You hate this guy.
He's wearing an Edgar suit.
He's wearing an Edgar suit.
She's an Edgar suit.
So did you see
the chin?
When you were a kid? Did you see this in the theater?
No, I did not.
Oh, I did.
I saw it
I was
afterwards.
a big Men in Black fan.
Really?
Oh yeah, I loved it.
Oh, look at it!
There it is. That still looks good when the spaceship crashes. Yeah, the production values in this are amazing, and still, for the most part, hold up pretty well today.
They do indeed.
I think that this actor does a remarkable job. Now, am I to assume that this guy actually plays Edgar the whole movie? He does, right?
I'm pretty sure he does.
And then they just give him makeup to look like his face is really stretched.
I would think so.
I hadn't thought about it until just now. But like, if not, they sure made a mask that looks like that guy's face. But I think it's gotta be the same guy all the way through.
So could we make an Edgar suit and like nobody would get it? It'd be really freaking obscure, though.
That would be some really strange cosplaying, I think, Brandon. If you went to a convention as the Edgar suit.
Oh, dear. But keep in mind, this coming from the person who went as a communicator badge one Halloween.
That's true. But that was also a little bit easier to do. I'm pretty sure you can't do an Edgar suit with cardboard.
I'm fairly positive, too. Although they did destroy this truck, and I'm kind of distraught that they destroyed that truck. Because that was an awesome truck.
And it was the only thing that pulled its weight around there, Brandon.
You know she ain't doing it.
This woman, she's hilarious.
Where we get in this door? I got an Edgar suit on. Give my shotgun, Bertha.
This is one of those very rare examples of a film that was, again, based on comic book source material that nobody realized it was a comic book, or most people probably didn't know because it was kind of an obscure thing, and it gained this immense popularity. Mm-hmm. And I always think it's really interesting when something like that happens, where you have something that did exist. And the Mask was exactly the same way.
The Mask was based on a comic.
Oh,
too?
Absolutely, yeah.
I thought the comic came after.
No, the Mask is based on a very violent and terrifying comic from the mid '80s.
Really?
From Dark Horse, yeah.
Huh. Mm-hmm. You know what,
I'll
though?
let you flip through some of it sometime. I've got it.
There's probably at least a couple of people who knew that this was a comic beforehand.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I was going to make a joke.
No, go ahead. No, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were making a joke.
Oh, I was going to say, the guys who did this movie probably knew.
Yeah.
That was the joke.
Oh, okay, all right.
Sorry, my banter's not up to par.
Well, but I'm sorry. Of course they would have to know that.
I'm just messing with you, Jay.
They would have to know that.
Yes, they would. Okay, so we got the spaceship. By the way, something I must mention about this franchise is their use of the little jokes.
Yeah,
For instance, in the second movie, the diner that J and K go to, that flying saucer that Edgar came in on is part of the diner. It's the top on the diner, just as the old spaceships are now the spaceships from the World's Fair. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was really cool. There's a lot
and the sort of thing that you might not
catch
unless you watch it 2, 3, 4
right.
times.
And there's a lot of that within these movies, and I think that was a really neat touch.
This movie has a really good mix of, drama and comedy.
Yes.
I mean, you can take it seriously enough to the. I mean, it's a comedy. It's funny, but it also does a really good job of suspending your disbelief.
That's right.
And you buy and again, that's where the sequel lost me a bit. Is that I don't think it had that as much.
True.
It was
looking more
about,
for laughs.
Sure, yeah, and not enough in a context, or the context that was there was thinly veiled context. It had to be a in a run and find this artifact sort of plot. This is more well. Okay, this is also a run and find an artifact plot, right? With Orion's belt, but
yes,
it's not set up in the first 4 minutes of the movie like it is in the sequel. I mean, like, it takes a while before you know what the threat is and before you know what the mystery is, and it's a better mystery. You know, you don't know what Orion's belt means,
right.
And it's kind of fun to figure that out along with the characters.
Also, in any other movie, this right here, what we're seeing here, would be dragging. But
maybe so. It's also an important exposition.
It is, but this would... It's not moving very fast, and that's what I like about it. I think it works in this movie, but in some other types of movies, this would be considered very slow. I do believe.
This movie has a good command of pacing.
Yes.
The soundtrack helps that a lot, too, because even
yes.
when there's not crazy stuff going on the screen, you've got this soundtrack that's telling you that you're in this high-concept world that is not like ours.
That's true. Ah. This is one of my favorite scenes right here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You like the whole Jeeves thing?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Jeeves.
Again, good command of narrative. We already know that Kay, that Tommy Lee Jones' character, is with this group that goes and finds aliens. But, of course, James doesn't know this. And so, but
he did just mention it, actually, to James.
He mentioned that he works with a group that fights aliens?
Yeah.
I forgot that's in there, right.
Right before they come in, he goes, "What are you with, the NSA, the FBI?"
Right,
and he goes, "I'm with a group that licenses, monitors all alien
activity." That's right, I forgot that was in there. Yeah, but, of course, he doesn't buy it. He doesn't
buy it, he doesn't get it. So now he just shoots him in the head, and he's like, "Drop your weapon!" Typical Will Smith, "Drop your weapon, I'm the guy in charge here."
Yeah, he always plays these kind of impulsive sorts of characters.
Right in the pie hole. Now nothing's gonna taste right.
This film, I think, plays with our expectations a little bit. It sets up a device in the first 2 minutes that erases people's memories, and we are still surprised, I think, when it happens to Jay here in a couple minutes.
Yes, we're not expecting him to get, because he's talking to him like for some reason we don't know that yet. And then,
like he's just gonna let him know all this, and yeah, it makes a lot of sense in the reality that's being set up here that this guy can just go around and tell people these things because and it's because he needs them to know it right now.
Right.
That's something he needs to know right now, so that he
he's
can get
on
this
a
information.
need-to-know basis.
So you can get this information from, because how else is he gonna ask him about a cephalopod?
Yes. If he wiped his memory.
If he's going to pretend like aliens, right? So he tells him everything right off, and then goes, "All right, I know what I need to know," and then flashy things him.
Are you gonna flashy thing me again? Have you ever flashy thinged me before? Maybe. The quintessential straight man.
I'm not playing around.
And they show up in the second movie when Kay gets deneuralized.
The guys in the double bicycle.
On the double bike.
Yeah.
And it's outside of Jeeves' place at that point, too.
Oh, is it? I forgot about that.
Yeah, because he gets deneuralized by Jeeves.
Right, and then he's got to go through the whole sort of thing again. Well, we'll talk about all that when we get there, because that's all.
That's for a
I think kind of
day.
sequelitis.
Yes,
a
it
bit.
is. We don't know that yet.
So I like this bit here where he's just cracking up here at this Chinese restaurant because does he really have a sense of humor at all? Is he really quirky like this, or is he just trying to?
Hard to tell.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. What exactly is he doing there? But we do know that he's a bit eccentric, right?
Yes.
He's got an 8-track player in his car. He's an Elvis fan. By the way, that's another thing that this movie does a great job of. That some of these movies will forget to do. especially these kinds of sci-fi things that are
Yeah.
about a big high concept, and we're trying to do so much exposition with the big stuff that are not in every movie. You know what I mean? We've got to explain the Neuralyzer, we've got to explain the aliens, we've got to explain the flying saucers, and they'll forget to do the character stuff. They'll forget the job stuff. They'll forget the hobbies. They'll forget what does he like to eat, and that kind of stuff is in this movie.
This is what they do here. They don't explain the deneuralyzer right off. They show us how it works.
Exactly.
So they have the room to be like, oh, now this is a deneuralyzer. We're going to use it on you. It's going to have a flashy thing. It's going to erase your memory. They don't come out and say that.
They don't need to.
No, but they're going to tell us through JSM, oh my god, you've got an 8-track player? Well, yeah, I got an 8-track player. Like, what the heck do you care? Oh dear, I always hated this scene. First of all, I don't buy that he shoved that thing straight down his throat. I think it probably nicked a few vital organs.
Well, fair enough, but I have always enjoyed the irony of, because of course we don't. Well, yeah, we know he's a bug, right? He's had some bugs come out of him.
We don't know he's a bug. We know that he's crawling with roaches.
Roaches, but we don't know that he's a bug. So it's kind of fun that we've got this guy that...
At least he's not smoking roaches, okay?
We've got this guy that is a bug driving around in a truck that used to belong to a what do you call it? A roach killer. An exterminator.
Exterminator.
Yeah, why couldn't we think of exterminator?
I don't know. I was thinking Augustine. Of course, that's the local company. Augustine Exterminator is the local company, but...
I kept wanting to say the Zappum truck.
What is the Zappum truck?
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
it's always a great gag.
Jay.
The elevator where you have to turn around. When I was a kid, I always wanted one of these egg seats. And then I thought, that looks horribly uncomfortable.
You don't want one still?
I think they look cool, but I don't know if I would ever sit in one.
You wouldn't have to. You could put one down here. It would work.
You think it would work in my Batcave?
Yeah. The Batcave egg chair?
It would have to be black, though.
Or steel gray. Cast iron gray, right?
This is a really fun scene. Again, it's kind of taking its time a little bit, and we're not in big giant action stuff yet. You know, we're following this character along and learning everything as he learns it, and that's just how you do this sort of thing.
Did you know that guy who just stood up there is the best of the best of the best, sir?
Right.
With honors.
One of my favorite parts of this whole movie.
Yeah.
Is when he grabs the table and pulls it over.
Yeah. I like Kay's assessment, or Zed's assessment, I guess it would be. How he has a problem with authority, and Kay's like, he chased down a grown cephalopod.
Right.
Oh, and when Jay's shooting when he takes the one shot and he shoots the girl with the astrophysics books, he's like, what's that girl doing with calculus and all?
Yeah, that's good stuff. One of the things that makes this movie so memorable is the artistic design of it. I think that a lot of things have quirky sorts of things have kind of copied this since then.
Yes. Well, you get the sense in this scene that this organization is straight out of the 60s. Like, these egg chairs.
That's a great point.
And they're using... It's like they've got all these people who are the best in their field in the modern day.
Even the simulation is like that.
Yeah.
Good point. I never really gave it that kind of thought, but you're right.
Look at the ceiling. It's got these spherical lights that are just emanating light out of the sides. And
at any point, you're ready to see a disco ball come out of this room.
That's
a great point. I have to note that he does sort of have a little bit of a table right next to him.
He does, doesn't he?
I don't know why he doesn't just use that.
Because this is funnier.
It's small, but no, this is funnier. But why not just not have that piece of furniture in there?
Oh, it's more like a bowl.
Is it an ashtray? Is it an ashtray? That's what I was wondering.
It might be a 60s ashtray.
Maybe it's just there for Zed. Doesn't Zed smoke? Or does Zed not smoke?
I don't know.
Maybe he... See, now I don't remember.
Alright, he's about to take one shot.
Every time I watch this scene, it makes me want to play laser tag.
Oh my goodness, we should totally go play laser tag soon.
Yeah, we should. I wonder if there's anywhere around here that even does that anymore.
The bowling place over there in Shawnee. I'm pretty sure it still does.
Wow.
And for those of you listening, I'm dead serious about laser tag.
Oh, yeah. We should do it.
Absolutely.
Why did you feel little Tiffany deserved to die?
He's just working out. I hope nobody busts me in my ass on a treadmill. He's just sneezing.
But he's got a point, doesn't he?
Yes. Quantum physics. Zed sees the humor.
Zed reminds me a little bit of Jeff Bridges.
Really?
A little bit.
Huh.
I think he easily could have been played by Jeff Bridges.
You're probably right. Because Jeff Bridges can be pretty straight, man. He's in a lot of comedy, but...
Yeah, but he does that kind of thing, too. And
yeah.
Zed is played for laughs in places, too.
That's true. Absolutely. Did he just say he chased down a grown cephalopod and I missed it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh! Well, I missed it.
It's okay, we're here to do a commentary.
Yes. Follow me, Captain Logan.
And see, once again, again, command and narrative. So we got the. I know I keep talking about the flashy thing, but that's we're dealing with it a lot right now.
Yes.
We're like, okay, we've set it up. It's now subverted our expectations with Jay, and now he says, "I exam. We know just what's going to happen."
Yes.
So they do it off camera. We see a big flash behind them,
yes.
and it's played for a joke.
It is played for a joke. But
this script knows just what it's doing.
It does, and that's what makes it work. Did you see all those equations on the screen?
Yeah,
that
is interesting.
I didn't notice that before. Not a screen, it's a chalkboard. That again, also old technology. You would expect to see a whiteboard.
Maybe so, yeah.
But
that's kind of fun. It makes the whole thing really eclectic, and that's what makes it memorable.
Now, when you were in the younger grades, like 1 through 8, did you guys have chalkboards still, or did you have? Because I still had chalkboards through 8th grade, and I went to Catholic school, and
we had them through. See, I went to a bunch of different schools.
Oh, I didn't even notice this the first time. He
Fair?
Gets it set up to see that it's the World's Fair.
Oh yeah,
I thought he just understood later that they were.
Yeah, this whole thing is bookended.
Yes,
and I mean, like, we get the origin, a bit of the origin. You get more of it later. You get especially more of it in 3, I guess. But like from in the first 20 minutes or so here, you're already getting some of the origins of the Men in Black itself as an organization. But to answer your question, yeah, I think we had some whiteboards as early as like 5th or 6th grade in public school.
Yeah. See, I didn't have them until I got into high school.
This is another thing this movie really gets right, is balancing being a movie for both kids and adults alike, and it has that in common with, I know this is going to be an odd comparison, with things like Ninja Turtles, where you've got where it's kind of for kids, but you're able to get away with Raphael saying the D word and stuff like that. And we've got the Worms here saying the S word and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
we sell Turtles 1, 2, and 3 at the place where I work.
The place where you work, right?
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Well, you guys sell a lot of DVDs, right?
Oh yeah, we do. I got Turtles 1 for my brother-in-law. That was cool. Humans don't have a clue, Jay! He always knew his 5th grade teacher was an alien. Ain't that the truth? I'll panic at... Well, I don't know about that, but I'll panic at some things. If you saw an alien, if like for real, if you saw an alien, what would you do?
I would scrutinize the heck out of it. I wouldn't buy it right away.
I wouldn't either. I don't know if I could, but what? Okay, let's just say for
like I would need I would be the Scully. You know what I mean? Like I would need real intrinsic
that's true.
proof. Yeah,
that's a great show.
like even if I saw it with my own eyes, I wouldn't immediately go, oh, it's an alien. I would go, well, let's make sure it's not a robot or a Muppet first. You know, like
a Muppet.
That sort of thing.
Muppets from space. You know.
Yes, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
I have always wondered about this, Brandon. I don't know how surprised I would be.
Yeah.
I think that kind of like we have been somewhat desensitized, or maybe very desensitized to violence growing up in our generation. I think so too have we been desensitized to a lot of cosmic concepts, especially those of us that grew up reading as many comic books as I did, and reading a lot of science fiction, watching a lot of Star Trek and things like that. I think that if these ideas were presented to us, we might be more prepared for them than we would have been had we not been engaged in so much fictitious concepts asking us these questions. We've already prepared our brains to the point where at least we've thought about it.
Okay, well let me put it to you this way.
Yeah, sure.
There is an original seasons of The Twilight Zone. There's an episode where there's this what appears to be a giant, huge alien looking over this house, but it turns out it's just it's a big inflated balloon.
It's interesting.
And
I haven't seen that
alien is really tiny, and they're really small spaceship. But before they know that the alien is really, really tiny in this tiny spaceship, they think that it's this big giant. It looks just kind of like a human, but it's this big giant thing, and they're terrified of it. These two people in this house in the forest, they're terrified of it. I wouldn't be terrified of an alien like that. I guess you could say I've been desensitized to aliens like that, but there are certain types of aliens that I would be absolutely just going in my pants if they showed up in front of me.
Sure.
Like, for real, if I had this flying saucer come down and this alien with sharp teeth came out, even a slightly smaller, thin alien with, I'd call them fangs, I would be just
but
dying.
I think that's animal instinct. I think that you would be scared by anything like that. Like when it comes to just the idea of aliens, I think that it would be such a huge giant deal just to find out that we had them. I mean, it would be like it would be like but larger than anything. Like it would be like it's not the same kind of thing. This was a tragedy, but it would be like September 11th, it's the only thing you could think of for days and days and weeks and months. You know what I'm saying? It changes everything.
It would change absolutely everything. You're absolutely right. But if and
to get back to the movie for a second, I think that this film does a really good job of giving Jay a very realistic kind of way of reacting to finally learning that aliens exist.
It does.
I really buy it.
Does.
He doesn't freak out. He doesn't shut his brain down. It's not like, again, we live in a society that has considered these sorts of things. But it's a big, giant deal, and he's got to figure out how to live with it.
It is a big, giant deal. And just for the record, this little ball here caused blackouts before. It's caused the entire seaboard, I think he says the seaboard blackout.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're watching the film.
Yes, we are. I just had to throw that out there.
Yeah, no, it's funny. Yeah, I like that.
Let's say you go to the zoo and you've got a tiger that could very easily maul you. If you had a tiger right in front of you, you'd be scared of it, right?
I love how Zed is so used to the bizarre world he lives in.
The bizarre world, yes.
That thing could just bounce all the way around his room and he doesn't even notice.
He doesn't even care.
But anyway.
But if you had a tiger right in front of you, you'd be scared of that tiger because it could come at you and get you. But if it were behind glass at the zoo, you could get right up on it. It would not affect you. Now, if I had a scary alien, doesn't matter if it's behind glass. I don't know what it's capable of.
Yeah,
it would scare the crud out of me.
Of course. Sure.
So yeah, any animal could do that. But there are certain levels that I'm just like. Now, if it's an alien that kind of looks like us, I'd be intrigued. I'd be in awe. But I'd want to find out more. I'd be skeptical.
Well, I guess what I'm a little more interested in is how people would react to just the idea of
actually having aliens exist would be
no matter what they look like.
Right, it'd be astronomical. It's what it would be.
Now, what are the odds
Yeah.
they would just happen to be looking at that woman at that moment. Did they just bring her up because that was his teacher, or was she just already sitting there?
Knew.
I thought, maybe that's what it was. Maybe so.
I always suspected she was an alien.
But yeah, this movie does a great job of putting character first, while simultaneously giving us this exposition. So,
yes, exactly.
So we're learning that. I mean, we know this to a degree already, but we're like following a character having to go through it, putting on the suit, getting rid of his name, losing his fingerprints.
That's right.
All that's kind of a big deal, and it very much puts us in the seat with him. Thinking about what if it was you, and what if you had to do all this? What if you had to lose your whole identity and put everything behind you?
At this point,
it's good
I
stuff.
could go for this. Like, at this point in my life...
In your life, you might be willing? Wow. That might tell us a little bit too much about you, Brandon.
Oh, come on. No, I'd miss my friends, but this would be an amazing opportunity, don't you think? What would you do if you had this opportunity? Would you just delete yourself off the face of the planet?
If I had it 10 or 11 years ago, I might have considered it. Maybe. Not after having a wife and kid.
No.
You know.
Right, I understand. It'd be another direction your life could have taken.
I do think there could have potentially been a bit more focus on his personal life and why exactly he's willing to put everything behind. Because I would like to know what his background is. And I know 3 kind of gives that to us later on, but
they didn't
know
have,
that we're going to be sequels.
Yeah, we had no idea we were going to get 3.
And what's interesting is we do get some of it for Kay. We do know that he had to give up a life. He had to give up a wife. And again, that's part of what makes me care about what's going on, because we got dual protagonists, and I care about Kay as much as I do Jay. Yes. But Jay... Who are his parents? Where did he grow up? What was his life? You know, we don't really know those sorts of things.
Right.
He seems to be a loner for not much of a reason at all. And I mean, like, he does come alive for me. I do think he's a real person, but I'd like to know some of those things also. And I think that would have even elevated that to a greater degree than it
would have elevated things a lot. But I will say this, is that for not knowing they were going to do much of anything after this, it really opened up the possibility for the 3rd movie, and they really went with it. And that's
true. Although, and again, if we go that far, we'll talk about it. I think all that is kind of convoluted and a bit in hindsight. I mean, in retrospect, and
they
15
wrote it
years later,
but they wrote it because they gave us nothing in this one.
No, and I get that, but again, that's them kind of taking an opportunity out of what I see as somewhat of a mistake.
Exactly.
I think for the sake of this film, the movie's only an hour and 37 minutes long. I think that there was time for that.
There was
4 or 5 more minutes. I think there was time for that.
Speaking of that, I think Hollywood these days is playing too much to the kids. And
wow,
I
vehemently disagree with that. But go ahead.
Okay, there's a reason, or even the teenagers. There's a reason I say that, and I'll get to that in just a second. This movie is too short. I will agree with that. I think they could have done a lot more with this, but they are taking movies that I would be perfectly willing to sit 3 hours for in a movie theater.
And you almost need that much to tell the story they're trying to tell.
Yeah, but they're going to cut it down because the standard isn't 3 hours. Old Hollywood had tons of 3-hour movies.
You're right. You're absolutely right about that.
Tons of 3-hour movies. And intermissions. I'm okay with that. If you're going to get the story that you want, I'm totally okay with that.
May I say that where I disagree,
yes,
and you're totally right about that, I'm not sure it has as much to do with kids and teenagers as it does the collective attention span of society.
That's true.
Which is constantly dwindling.
We have so many fans of these things, though.
You're not just hearing the teenagers say, oh, I don't want to sit through a 3-hour movie. You're hearing 25, 30, 40-year-olds saying the same things. They're worried nobody will sit long enough through it unless they're already familiar with the source material and are invested in it. I'm not sure how much this has to do with particular demographics as it does with we have so many distractions in our society that people are ready to get to the next thing.
They are. They really are. And how many times do you say...
I also don't think that we're giving those audiences enough credit, though. I think a lot of people really are willing to sit through that long.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
But I'm just saying that from their perspective, I think they're saying that most people will not sit that long. And the thing is, all you got to do is make. I mean, it's a risk. It's risky, and I get it. It's a business, but
yes,
you if you make a movie good enough, we're not going to look at our watch and we're not going to know how long it is while we're sitting through it.
Is that those people who would not sit through the 3-hour movie are going to be replaced by the people who will now go to the movie because it's a better movie.
You're absolutely right.
So you really wouldn't be losing anything, and in fact, I think you might actually be gaining more of a... You might even gain a little because some people are super hardcore about this type of thing, and you get a bigger following. But
of course, Hollywood knows that you can't just play to an existing fan base.
No, you can't.
You've got to try to make it accessible enough that a wide demographic will go see it. By the way, this is a very violent scene.
Yes, it is.
Here in the kitchen.
This one is a generalized alien topic. I think it automatically plays to a wider audience.
Absolutely, it does. Sure.
Than something like Star Trek.
This is a big singular concept that we haven't done a great deal with yet at this point.
Right. Star Trek has a built-in audience, so you're not necessarily... the problem that they've been having is they are now trying to play to a wider audience, I think, and not just their built-in audience. This plays in well to a wide audience just on the base of it.
Sure, yeah.
Regardless of whether you knew the source material or not.
Well, but that's the thing is that it's not assuming anybody did because it was very small. So that's a bit of a different sort of thing.
It is a difference.
Yeah, and I'm not sure... Okay, I'm going to say it this way.
Alien babies.
Yeah, I'm not going to say... Sorry, I'm not going to say that every film that is an hour and 37 minutes is too short.
Right.
Okay? If that's all it takes you to tell the story you need to tell and give us give us everything we need to get invested in these characters, this film nearly does it in an hour and 37, and I think it actually does. I just feel like give me a couple more minutes and you can flesh him out a little bit for me. That's all I'm saying.
Let me ask you this: are there any deleted scenes on the DVD?
If there are, I've not looked.
I haven't watched them either. If there are, this is a great scene. You've got the Twin Towers in the background,
right?
And that's really cool. And you've got Jay, who is just being kicked around,
and it still looks pretty good.
Yes, and I like how you can't see into the car because of all of the. It looks like travel stickers in the back window. And by the way,
that's kind of fun, isn't it? Because they're aliens, so they're trying to see the world.
Yeah.
In this little like station wagon.
That alien looks very much similar to the one in Independence Day.
It does. You're right. Now, did the one in Independence Day have tentacles? I think it did.
It did. Yeah. He dragged him a long way too.
You're right. There are definitely some visual similarities through some of these sci-fi movies that were playing with the idea of aliens in present day. Because the eyes are very X-Files too. I mean,
yes, they are. Definitely. He is covered in whatever that is. I'll call it ectoplasm.
Again, we're doing a really good... It's not psychoplasm, I'll tell you that much. We are doing a
Secret of the green goo?
Yeah, we are doing a great job here of making these not just... all these aliens, and the bad guy kind of is, but until the end, we'll talk about that. But we're doing a pretty good job of making these aliens not just random. We'll talk about that in a second. Random little two-dimensional things that are just kind of around, and they're kind of just are aliens that we need in this movie. They're kind of made real. They're trying to make a life for themselves, live as humans, and I like that it encapsulates that with that family that. With the woman that has the baby in the car,
right? It's
really cool that we get that.
Absolutely,
they're breaking the the MIB law there, but not because they're doing anything malicious. They just are trying to get someplace.
Yeah, they know something's up though too, if I remember.
Yeah.
They know something's up, and then here the last scene where he's picking up the tabloid crud. That scene really got me as really funny because I go to the store and I see this stuff and I see Bat Boy on the cover and I'm like, oh, when are they going to give it up? And then here you have this and he's talking like it's the most investigative journalism in the galaxy. I just think that's great.
Yeah, no, it's really funny. And that's one of the kind of comic beats that this movie finds a way to use over and over and it never gets stale is a thing that from real life that they turn into something else.
That's right. That's right. His expression when he drank that juice was just classic.
That's another thing that was done some with
Edgar suit.
the Edgar suit. That's one of the things that was done with Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Sometimes is it would, in fact often it would take something. It would take something that you thought you understood and make cosmic galaxy thing out of it. And all about subverting your expectations. The idea that mice are actually smarter than humans, and whales are the second smartest. All that kind of stuff. I think that this movie might be borrowing a little bit from Douglas Adams.
Yeah. Well, the notion that humans are not the smartest, they just think they're the smartest.
Yeah, that's a transcendent idea we play with a lot all the way through science fiction.
And a lot of things, not even just science fiction.
No, right.
I'll give you the example. I'm a big South Park fan, and anytime the visitors who are aliens come and visit, they always go to the cows. And South Park has a lot of cows, and they go to the cows and they try to bestow gifts on the cows, as cows are more intelligent than humans.
I mean, that's not an unscience fiction idea. You just said they're aliens.
No, it's not. But South Park is not science fiction. That's
no,
it's
not. But it's borrowing that from science fiction.
It is. It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're talking about a parody show.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. Indeed. Oh, and
one of the...
Sorry,
go ahead.
This is a great scene. Kay could care less about what information he gives the person after he deneuralizes them, but Jay's just like, you can't just let her just be blah. Go do something.
That's one of the themes of the film that I think works all the way through.
Yeah.
The idea that Kay might have lost a bit of his humanity.
Yes.
Doing this for so long.
He's desensitized.
Exactly. And I think that the Neuralyzer might somewhat be... I might be stretching with this. I think the Neuralyzer is, to a degree, kind of encapsulates that idea as a symbolic thing. Is that his emotional self has been neuralized, if you will.
Yes,
I think that's great
over
stuff.
time,
and then at the end, we're led to believe that he kind of gets his humanity back through the Neuralyzer. It's kind of it's good stuff. We've got a very thoughtful comedy here. It's not just about throwing the joke status. We can talk about this on a real human and story level.
Exactly. Yes. And Jay tries to kind of bring
it is an
around.
Analyzable movie. I appreciate that because it's what I like to do.
That's right.
I love it when you get something like this that is primarily about the funny, and it's got. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing a rewind on this. Because there's stuff to look at. There's some threads.
Why does she look familiar?
Because she's in this movie and you've seen it before.
I mean, what other thing has she been in?
I don't know, Brandon.
She didn't play Vash, did she?
No.
Who's that?
She's not been in Star Trek. I don't know. Oh. That's all I've seen that actress in.
She looks a similar bit like Vash.
I don't think she looks anything like
so?
her. She's younger.
Oh, well, I think she looks similar.
Even at this point, she's younger.
I'm pretty sure I've seen her in something else, so...
But anyway, so... I think so too, but I mean, I think this is a movie actress. I don't think she's done a lot of television.
Okay.
But I don't know that for sure. What I like about, and I forget what her real name is, but of course, when she becomes an agent, she's Elle. What I like about Elle is that she is kind of played up as being almost the female version of Kay, but she's got a little bit of J in her too. It's almost like she's like the middle of the road between them, you know.
I wish they would have used her more.
I wish she had been able to be in the sequels. I think an L and J movie would have been a lot better than what they did.
As it stands, they had Patrick Warburton.
Burton.
Right. Warburton. He was
Agent T, who replaced her.
Just for a brief bit, he really couldn't handle it, and I like that actor, but I think even if they'd stuck with him, it would have been even...
They would have had to do it differently because that was a one-note gag.
It was.
Because he was just the Tick. But I mean that's why they named him Agent T. Barry Sonnenfeld did live action Tick, and they made that just at like I think during filming the Tick. Actually, it was right around there. I don't think
you would know more about that than I would.
I'm not sure Tick had even been canceled when they shot it at that point because Tick ran in 2001. Well, maybe it was canceled already when they shot it. I guess that's likely now that I think about it because it was 3 years later. I don't know, but. Anyway, that was kind of a one-note thing. Well, we're not going to have any reason to actually do a commentary on that because we keep talking about it.
Oh, we can still find stuff. We can bash it.
It's a short movie anyway, so...
Yes. Okay, so she's coming on to Jay.
That's an interesting line. I'm not sure in any other movie I've ever seen a woman look at a man and say he had pretty eyes.
You want to hear something interesting?
Barry Sonnenfeld writes like that. He gives people unusual, very personal things to say that just make them seem like real people, but also very odd people, and that's how he likes to write.
You want to hear something weird though?
What's that?
A couple weeks ago, well, about a month ago, I was at the mall. I got stopped by one of those people in the mall. I think you might have seen this post on my Facebook. The guy polished my thumbnail.
What?
You remember that?
No.
Okay, they're selling these things at the mall, and they polish your thumbnail. It's like a buffer. It's sandpaper on 3 sides, and one of them's got a rough one, a finer one, and then a finest one, so that you can just... It's not like a nail polish, but it's a polisher. It just takes off in fine, like you're sanding wood, but only your fingernails. So that was kind of weird for a while, but then my mom had the kit, so I went ahead and did all my nails just to get them really shiny, so they're still shiny.
All right.
Well, I was at work the other day, and somebody came through my checkout line, and I had my hand sitting down there, and the girl looks at me, and she goes, "Wow, you have really pretty nails."
Really?
I've never gotten that compliment before. And I said, "Oh, I thank you." And she's like, "How did you do that?"
Were you trying to decide if that was actually a compliment?
It was a compliment. She was genuinely impressed with my nails.
I don't know. It's just for me as a heterosexual male, I'd be like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know.
And then I asked a female friend about it, and she goes, "Well, I definitely want a guy who had manicured nails, like, well-groomed nails." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't keep mine really long and dirty and unkempt like some people I know. I can't stand that. I keep mine.
Yeah, I know. I don't like that.
I keep mine trimmed. I'm not going out and getting them done at a freaking spa. That's not me. There are some guys who do that. If you're a hand model, I would expect that."
See, a woman once told me that I had hair that she knew some women would kill for. And I didn't see that as much of a compliment, because I was like, "Was a women want my hair? What does that say
just
about me?"
Just means you've got illustrious hair. I have no hair left. Almost none.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I grew some on my face here.
I wasn't trying to offend you.
No, but I can see that. I myself have told other friends, even guy friends, that, they have good hair. That's not something that's like, "Oh my God, I love your hair, it's awesome." It's like, you've got good hair.
So this is that line that just sticks with you. The galaxy is on Orion's belt. I mean, it's like save the cheerleader, save the world. Like, you never forget it,
I'm trying to think of a line that I could come up with from a movie that's like that. I'm drawing a blank, but you're absolutely right.
I think, I'm not saying that this is up there in like movie canon lines that people remember, whatever, but just for the movie. Like, if you were going to think of one line from Men in Black, for me it'd be "The galaxy is on Orion's belt."
Yes, if you were going to think of
one line from Star Wars, it would either be like "May the Force be with you" or "Luke, I am your father." That sort of thing. If every movie has a line, that's the line.
Or a line from Star Trek 2. Khan!
No, the line from Star Trek 2 is "Revenge is a dish best served cold."
That's true, and most people who've seen that love that line.
And if it's not, it ought to be. That's the line from that movie.
The galaxy is on Orion's belt.
Good. And again, good mystery. I kind of enjoy this. I like that it's an artifact plot that you don't know is an artifact plot. Now,
Right.
When I'm reviewing
You're
movies,
looking for a galaxy.
I get on this a lot about I don't like movies that aren't very character centered, that that just because they can't think of a better thing to do with it, they just have everybody chasing after some kind of an artifact. I just wrote a rewind for the Super Mario Brothers movie. That movie is that way because they weren't sure what to do with it, and they were kind of shy going into it. So it's just everybody's chasing after this rock or whatever, right? That kind of thing. This movie, it has a plot, like it has an artifact plot,
but don't
it's centered
know
on the characters, and you don't realize it till the third act that it all leads to this thing, and that's okay, especially because the thing ends up being really interesting.
That's right. Well, think of a movie set that used to be a trilogy that is now 4 movies that is all object oriented.
Indiana Jones.
That's right.
Right, sure. But that's okay because that's what it's about. You know what I mean?
That's what it is.
It's not an excuse.
Right.
That's job stuff. That's hobby stuff.
That's right.
Indy is a guy who goes and looks for artifacts.
Right.
So they make a story around that. That's usually the backdrop.
Just like Brendan Fraser is a guy who goes and looks for mummies.
Yes, except that they're not as good. But yeah. First one's all right.
He's killed more mummies than you.
He has killed more mummies than me. You're absolutely right.
Oh, boy.
Sometimes it seems like you make obviously truthful statements just so that you can keep your quota up. You're like, I tell the truth. Here's an obvious truth.
Well, that's another line from that movie, though. He goes, I've killed more mummies than you.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I thought you were just being really random. I'm not a big fan of that movie. I've seen it maybe one time.
Me too.
Oh, well, is that the line from that movie? Is that the line?
That is the line.
I don't know if that's the line. I haven't seen it in so long.
That's my line, anyway.
That's my line.
I've killed more mummies than you, son.
I like how they're... you were talking about old-fashioned technology. I like how they appear to be running a lot of MIB on, like, 80s age Macs.
Yeah.
No, that looks like Mac, dude.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
That looks like a Mac Plus to me.
I doubt you could get such high graphics on a Mac Plus, though.
I'm pretty sure that this vector stuff is not running on a Mac.
It could be CAD-based.
So see, this is great stuff. I mean, we're looking for something, we don't know what it is, and what's really cool is they don't shaft us at the end with it. It really is a galaxy we're looking for. It's just really small, and so the whole thing ends up not just being about an excuse to pull the movie along chasing for a thing. What it ends up being about by the end is thinking outside the box.
Yes.
It's about expanding your imagination. It's that no matter what you think reality is, it could be different. It is reality. It's just on a different scale. And the best thing about this movie, in my mind, the best idea it puts forth. By the way, this is important stuff. Cade looking at his wife. This is good character stuff. Yes. I think the best idea in the whole movie is you got humans that are in denial about the idea that there might be other life on the planet, right? And you've got so the world is different than they think it is, and the galaxy is different than they think it is. Yes. And guess what? The universe itself is different than the people who know all that think it is. Yes. That's the best idea of the whole thing. It just goes to prove that you never know everything. There's always something that will throw you for a loop, and you have to be able to compensate for that. But you would think that they would be able to get it, because at the end... Is it the end of this movie or the end of the second movie where they make him take a vacation? I think that might be the end of the second movie. I think so. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, well, never mind. I was going somewhere with that, but I think I lost my point. I'm sorry. I can't follow you because I don't know what you're talking about. Things about scale at the locker. Yeah, and we'll talk about that when we get to that movie. That's the second one? That's the second one. Okay. That's just them doing this over again, and it doesn't work. This works. Right. It's something you can do once, you can't do again. It's like with Superman 1 and then the Donner cut. You can't turn the world backwards twice. It doesn't work. And you kind of have that with these movies. But just looking at this as a singular film. Yeah. That idea when I was 12 and saw this in the theater blew my mind. Yes. It blew my mind. Hey, even when I saw it, I was just like, wow, that is what an interesting concept. But they also give it an added joke when they say that it's the best source of
certain type of energy in the universe. What's the word that they use? It's because of its small size. That's why that joke is funny, because it is a small size, and they're like subatomic energy or something like that. Well, it would be subatomic. It's immensely small.
Yeah, yeah.
But the idea that you could have a whole galaxy in there is just really quite amazing.
There are a lot of things in this movie that people have found very quotable over the years that they can. I mean, I think it's really cool that this movie, nobody knowing how big it would be, has kind of stuck in people's minds.
Yes.
When somebody from our generation. I mean, I think if you were a kid, or even if you were, a young adult watching this movie when it was on, if somebody says noisy cricket to you, you know what they're talking about. And I've heard a lot of people reference that.
Yes. This is one of my favorite scenes where the guy pulls out a long-barreled revolver out of his jacket. He's like, please.
This always made me wonder just how many times they've had to use a neuralyzer on a wide berth like this.
Yes.
But what's cool is I like that they don't treat the events of this movie like they're so extremely unusual.
Right.
I mean, it is a big deal. We got to break status quo and have a big thing happen for our story. But I like that it's not like this is the first time we've ever had a whole block of people see something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They have a code for this. When it happens, when Jay makes this whole block of people see all this stuff that happens, they've got a protocol for it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they do, and they go about it really systematically. Like, okay, we've had to have this type of thing done before, but now Jay's making a huge scene, and Kay's not okay with it. He's like, "We got protocol. You started running after this guy. There was no way for you to catch him anyway." Oh, that's a great scene. He goes straight into that car that somebody's driving.
And of course, what's important about this too is that the way Jay is acting right now is precisely the reason Kay recruited him in the first place.
That's right.
One thing I was always bothered by with this, though, is he says we don't discharge our weapons in public.
Yes.
Why would you give him a weapon like that? That makes no sense. We're going to give him a thing that blows up everything like that and flies you backwards. It's funny. It's a good gag, but it's a little nonsensical for Kay.
That's right. We need a containment unit on McDougal Street. Oh, they're carrying Marlboros. Never noticed that before.
Oh, you never noticed that? I always had a keen eye for product placement when I was a kid. I used to really look for it.
I can really find product placement nowadays, but I've never seen it this big.
This movie doesn't have as much product placement as other things I've seen.
That's true.
There's this fun idea here that, every other week we got somebody threatening to destroy the whole planet.
That's right. There's always some sort of Corellian battle cruiser.
Right. Yeah, and that's an important thing Jay has to kind of learn too, where he's like, look, Kay, don't you realize what the stakes are? Of course I'm not that worried about people seeing us. He's like, no, you don't understand.
The only way
this kind of crap happens all the time.
Yeah, but the only way these people can go about their existence is they don't know that they're not the only ones in the universe.
That's our job. Yeah. is to contain it, no matter how big it is.
Exactly. You keep drinking on that soda. I'm gonna grab another one back here. I'm gonna open the room temperature one. I've always liked station wagons.
How would you feel about a reboot to this series?
I'd be okay with that.
I could see myself being okay with it.
I could be okay with that.
I think I'd be okay with that before a sequel. Before a fourth one.
If they went back and...
don't think they should keep going with it.
A reboot into this continuity, or a reboot into the third movie's... the past continuity?
No, I just mean starting the series over. You know what a reboot would be? Would just doing a new series of these movies.
Right. No, I see what you're saying, but would you want him to do the beginning of MIB or the present of MIB?
Oh, I see what you mean. I don't think you'd want to start there. I think that would be weird. It would feel like a prequel.
Yeah,
if you did that, I don't.
Would.
No, I'm sorry. I just didn't know what you meant.
Right.
Yeah, I don't see that would be all that interesting. It would, that would be like Men in Black Begins. Like I don't think you necessarily want that. Especially because that kind of thing always confuses people. It confused people with Batman when it first happened back in '05, which feels like so long ago now in a lot of ways. Because I remember talking to people who were like, well, that movie was pretty good, but I didn't understand it because it didn't really make any sense with the other ones. And I was like, that's because it's a reboot. You know what I mean? Now, we've got so many of those now, people are probably used to it. But I'm just saying, I think if you went back to the beginning like that, that's interesting. But it might be fun to do just a straight-up period piece.
That's true.
Where you did Men in Black in the 60s or the 80s or somewhere that wasn't present day now. You know, like go back to the period that the comics were in the first place, and just do that, which would have been like late 80s.
Yeah.
Just do that.
That's cool. That'd be cool. Yeah.
Especially because as time goes forward and we get more and more amazing real world technologies, this kind of stuff is harder to do and make look impressive, if that makes any sense.
It absolutely. We're more desensitized because we have more of this stuff coming out in the real world, and then you've got to think, you see, 20 years ago... Why aren't
these guys carrying iPads? Why aren't these guys carrying this such and such and such, you know?
Right, but in a movie like this, though, you can almost understand that because they're still in the 70s. They still drive an old Ford. They still...
No, that's true.
So, on the one hand, I can see that, but on the other hand, I can also, for this movie, that kind of concept, you would have to take it to a little bit more of an extreme. But I see exactly what you're saying.
And they have a very interesting perspective because they're somewhat responsible for the leaps that people are making in technology in the real world.
Yes.
If you remember. I mean, we talked over the scene,
yes.
But he talks about all the technologies that were invented decades and decades earlier, but that they're kind of releasing
because nothing's up to speed yet.
They're controlling it. Yeah. And so many technologies are actually alien. That's another really fun idea. Not just different people that you didn't know were alien, but that the VCR came from another planet and the microwave came from another planet.
What I really like about David Cross's character here is that he gets stuck to the ceiling, and while Jay notices him stuck to the ceiling when he comes in, they forget about him on the way out.
Oh, that's funny.
And that's why he shows up in the next movie and knows everything, because he never got neuralized.
Okay, that's cool. I'll also tell you this: I never put two and two together and realized that was the same character.
Yeah, most people don't.
Yeah, I never thought about it.
But that's why
he's so minor right here.
That's why when he's living upstairs, he knows about it. That's why they did it, though.
No, that makes perfect sense.
Look at him. He's just going after those bug off. Oh.
One of the things that we haven't talked about yet is what I think is a very classy way that the race issue is handled in this. They could have not drawn any attention whatsoever to the fact that we've got a white guy and a black guy hanging out together of different ages, and they focus much more, of course, on one of them is older and one of them is younger, and they have a difficult time relating to each other because they're from different generations. You have the slick thing and all of that.
Yeah.
But they have to draw any attention to it at all. I love that they do it the way they do it here, and it's not crass or anything like that. Just like the whole like Agent White, Agent Black bit. That's funny.
It is. It is.
Sergeant Friday. Speaking of hilarious names, that's great.
A witness in a murder case.
This cat is a witness in a murder case.
I read an article the other day that talked about this cat.
You wrote an article?
No, I read an article.
Oh, okay.
I
thought you said you wrote one.
This cat was walking in a prison, and they noticed this cat had something around it. So they went to investigate this.
The galaxy was on.
No, somebody had wrapped this cat with saran wrap, but inside the saran wrap, they'd placed drill bits, a saw, and a cell phone and a cell phone charger, so that it could get into the prison and deliver this to someone in the prison. Well, that in itself was awesome, but the main quote I took out of the article was they asked an official at the prison about this, and he goes, well, it becomes very difficult in a case like this to find out who would do something like this because the cat can't speak.
Yeah.
Well, he told the reporter that the cat can't speak. Really?
Yeah, that is
Really?
pretty funny. That was his quote?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really funny.
It's very difficult to find out who would do something like this as the cat can't
if
speak.
If only it wasn't a cat. Yeah, okay, that's hilarious.
Yeah. If
so
only.
it was a witness.
Yes, it was. And it would just remind me is he's like, we have to take this cat down to the station for questioning.
That's funny.
Huh. Monkey boy. Space trash.
I also think that the whole bug thing could have been handled a lot more grossly than it is.
Yes.
Again, we gotta balance this being, an adult movie that kids can watch.
Right.
I don't think it's a kids movie adults can watch. I think it is the other way around.
Right. I think you're right, because it does have a lot of humor that we would get as adults.
But the themes are pretty mature, and I don't mean that the themes are too rough. I just mean that there's some. I just think that the storytelling is sophisticated enough that it doesn't feel like a kids' film.
True enough.
I don't think it's just about the comedy. I think it's also about the sophistication of the storytelling.
Well, that's true. I always wonder how they pull off scenes like this.
What, just car chases, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you can tell that most of this seems to be shot on a back lot.
That's true, but I love how Jay just goes running off.
Although this stuff isn't.
Yeah, Kay knows from experience that,
That's a lot of taxis.
Running after a taxi is just not going to work. You might as well just go walk to your car.
Yeah, that's right. You're in New York. But I'm sure in New York that happens. We got that many taxis bunched up together.
Oh yeah, that definitely happens.
Have you ever been to New York?
No, I've been close, but I never went actually to New York.
I've always wanted to go.
I've been to Chicago, and similar things happen in Chicago. You know what they say about New York, though?
What's that?
It says, oh, now I can't even remember.
Oh,
there
right.
I go. There I go.
I was waiting with bated breath. Man, I hate it when there's protonic fusion.
Nobody drives because the streets are too crowded.
Right.
That's the joke. Nobody drives.
Right. I thought that was just common knowledge. Like.
No, but the streets are crowded because obviously people are driving.
Right.
Never mind.
Oh, okay, all right. That's sorry.
Deliver the galaxy or Earth will be destroyed. Sorry.
Sorry.
Hour.
Jay's reaction to that is priceless.
Yeah.
That's great. No, I'm sorry. That was a great joke. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It was whoosh. That's a good point, though. I've never talked to anybody that, and I've known some people that have lived in New York, and none of them drive. So where do all the cars come from?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a really good point. They're not all taxis, and they're not all buses either.
That's right. Old guys.
Old guys.
Do those still work?
So we've got people acting like real people here. Jay is not just a punk kid that doesn't know what he's doing.
He's starting to get it.
He's starting to get it. He's intelligent. He figures stuff out on his own.
Hey, look, it's the Daily Planet.
Yeah, right. And again, he and Kay are these characters that have to learn to appreciate each other
That's right.
and their differences, and the the differences between new and old, which we talked about that a lot with the third movie when we reviewed it together.
Yeah.
That movie was very much about that kind of thing, and this definitely.
I forgot we actually reviewed that.
We did. We reviewed it together right after it came out.
I remember it was difficult not to give anything away.
Yeah, it was.
Especially since I enjoyed it so much. Never press the red
This
button.
is one of those car chases that I find pretty memorable. I always like this one.
Did you know that if you can get a vehicle to travel at enough of a speed, you can actually turn it upside down because of...
in a tunnel like that?
Yeah, in a tunnel like that, you'd actually be able to drive it upside down because of the forces that are acting upon it.
Well, sure, yeah. It's just like those rides that you have sometimes at a theme park where like it's a barrel and you're on the and you're on the outside of it and there's enough momentum that they can drop the bottom out and you won't fall.
Exactly.
That terrified me the first time I did it.
The finished fling at Worlds of Fun?
Yeah.
I love that ride.
It's great.
I love it.
I didn't know if you knew what I was talking about.
Oh, of course. I always ride it after I get off the water rides.
That's an excellent point that you make, though, that the laws of physics make this seem possible.
Yes.
It's not just... And look, I mean, they got rockets out the back, so they're going pretty freaking fast.
They are.
That's a cool car.
Yes, it is.
I like that he breaks the gate and pays for it anyway.
Pays the toll.
That's great. That's not a real long car chase. It's not there to fill time, you know?
Yeah.
And it's kind of surprising how late in the film it comes. Because we haven't had any car chases yet.
That's true.
When I say car chase, they're just trying to get somewhere fast.
I was going to say...
It's not even a chase.
I was going to say, technically you could call it a car chase because they take off in a taxi and they're following him, but...
yeah, it's not two cars following each other. They're trying to get someplace, so they go through a busy tunnel.
They went back to MIB headquarters well before they realized where he was heading.
You're right.
Which gives me another question for Paz, is that the alien was headed straight there. He's only just getting there, and MIB went back to MIB, and now they're getting there just a few minutes after the alien did. But then again, they could have been stuck in traffic, and Kay used the red button, so...
Yeah, it might work, but... Well, you can see how much time has passed.
Yes.
About 45 minutes, right?
Yeah.
50 minutes.
53 minutes, because it was an hour, and now it's down to 7.
Right.
This is a sweet scene.
No, I guess it did show us an hour right at the start. I couldn't remember what it was. Yeah, it was an hour.
That's cool. That's very X-Files right there.
Actually, that is an homage to Close Encounters.
I've only seen part of Close Encounters. I really need to see...
There's also a shot... There's also... We're talking about the spaceship flying over the trees. That also... I love the baseball field. Anyway, there's also a shot that looks a lot like that in E.T. too.
Yes.
Brandon,
yes.
Sometimes I feel a little bit different watching movies with other people or doing commentaries, talking over them, that kind of thing. Or if it's been a while, like really sitting here and analyzing it while watching it, I'll pick up things I didn't pick up on before.
Right.
This movie is solid.
Yes,
it's rock
really
solid.
It really
I've mentioned very few things I don't like about this movie.
It holds up very well. I'd like to say something about...
That's a pretty iconic moment there, too, isn't it? With the shuttle crashing and the dirt coming at them.
Do you think... when did this movie come out?
95? 96?
So it's before the crash scene in Star Trek.
The crash scene in Star Trek.
When they destroy... Yeah.
No, it's like after.
After Generations.
Right, yeah.
Do you think that could have been playing towards that crash scene in Generations?
I think that's a complete coincidence.
Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't, I mean... It's just...
It's similar.
It's kind of similar in that they both had a ship going at a similar trajectory hitting the ground and dirt flying up.
Yeah.
But I doubt one was thinking about the other one, yeah.
Just checking. I figured as much,
It's
but
possible, but I kind of doubt it. To be perfectly honest with you.
that's true.
Especially because when you've got two...
Your busted vehicle, I love it.
When you've got two movies that come out that close together, it would have been in production before they could have even seen the other one.
That's true. This is great. Oh, dang.
Yeah, there's some somewhat disgusting looking things in this movie.
You get the sense that even Kay is disgusted at this.
Yeah, it's great.
I like how he goes in after his gun.
These were some of the very best movie monsters in the 90s, I think.
Yeah. You're right about that.
Both in like the CG, the animatronics, because there's a little bit of animatronics being played with here too. I think some of it is practical, which is something I really appreciated about this movie. Is that there's some creature shop stuff going on, and then also the makeup's amazing.
Yes, I would agree with that.
I don't know this for sure. I should look it up, but I think this movie might have been at least nominated for makeup awards.
Really? We can look that up really easily.
Some special effects stuff, yeah.
I will say this, something about flying saucers.
Yeah.
Is that flying saucers have the ability to work really well in an atmosphere the same way a Frisbee does. Being the fact that they are gyroscopic, and the Frisbee works because of the way it handles the air around it.
Oh, good point, right.
So anytime you have like a flying saucer that actually spins, now granted these ones don't spin, they operate more on an anti-gravity type of thing. But if you have a flying saucer that spins, it's kind of a realistic interpretation of how something might fly inside an atmosphere. Now once you get out into space, that's
it doesn't really
completely,
make as much sense.
Yeah.
You would need rockets or something.
You would need some sort of propellant, whether it be an ion drive.
And at that point, if you had it spinning, because the thing is, aerodynamics don't matter in space, so you could have a cylindrical object fly in space,
right.
But the fact that it was spinning would be just for visual benefit, right?
It would visual benefit.
It would just be fun to look at if you had a camera outside of it. That'd be it, right?
Well,
aesthetics.
However.
By the way, just real quick, I was right about that. Academy Award won it. It won it for makeup.
Okay. I'm not sure.
I thought I'd read that.
You need a gyroscope to keep something steady when interacting with gravitational bodies. But I'm not sure once you get outside of the gravity if a gyroscope is going to do all that much good. So the spinning nature out in space, out there, isn't really going to do you much of any good.
What's the matter?
I think I lost the sound in my left ear.
Oh, you did? Oh.
Yeah.
Here, I'll see if I can fix it. There you go.
Thanks.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Testing. Okay, so he's squashing bugs now.
Yeah, and it makes the giant bug angry, of course, because he's. Yeah. I love this idea that they're all bugs are all individuals related. and they're related. Now, what's a little bit silly about that, of course, is that they live for like a day, right?
That's true.
Now, he might not actually know them as individuals. He might just be mad for the, out of the.
Yeah.
What am I trying to say? The principle of the thing.
Exactly.
I guess if you're a much bigger bug, you live longer.
That may be true. But I always got the impression they were trying to make him out to be a cockroach, and he's not a cockroach. He's
not. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that's all about. If they're just somewhat kind of related by just genome or what. The question is, are the roaches from space, or are the roaches terrestrial? But he's not. But they're kind of. I don't understand any of that.
Yeah.
And why does he have roaches all over him when he's just one big giant one?
Come out? Yeah.
So I guess none of that made any sense, did it?
Not to me, anyway.
Well, they dropped the ball on that. I had an action figure when I was a kid of. I think I had both of them, and I had action figures of both of them actually kind of from this scene with the slime on them.
Really?
If I'm remembering right, I think they have the slime on them. Maybe not,
Are
but they
you sure
definitely
you just
have
didn't
these
drop
guns.
them in your Fruit Loops?
I did not drop them in my Fruit Loops, but they did have these guns.
Huh? Was that like a McDonald's toy?
No. There was an action figure line.
Huh.
There was a line. Did you see the line for 3? It was terrible.
Nuh-uh.
I kind of keep up with action figures a little bit. Yeah, there was a line.
Know, but...
There was a line from 3, and they were the little like 4.5 inches, and they just looked terrible.
Oh, that's weird.
At least I didn't care for them.
What the heck?
What?
How did the bug come back?
That's a really good question.
I never noticed that before.
And that's a little irritating because that's just straight up Hollywooded nonsense, right? Where it's like we killed the thing, and then it's got to come back and get killed again, and we got to freak out as an audience. Oh no, it's back! It's like Super Shredder and Ninja Turtles 2, right? Where it's like, oh no, he's gonna come back! Oh!
But it's got to be killed by her to set up the end gag where she's the new agent.
Where she's the new agent, right?
Yeah.
Because she's proven herself just like Jay did at the beginning. Because if she can, I guess if she can pick up a gun and shoot that thing, it's like Jay running down I guess, but whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that the movie doesn't do a good job of making me buy that she could be an agent.
That's
true. It does do that.
Yeah, she's interested enough.
And I find her interesting enough. I'd like to see her as an agent in the film.
She works at the morgue. It doesn't appear that she has much of any family. She's interested in this type of thing. She's a perfect recruit.
They make a rock solid case for that.
It's pretty much foreshadowing throughout the entire film that she'll end up. I just wish they would have.
I think maybe we're thinking it a little bit too. That she's probably going to be the new agent. I think that. The film telegraphs in a good way. Telegraphing, obviously, very often a bad idea. I think that the early scenes of this movie really telegraph the idea that Kay is going to, stop being an agent.
Yeah, that's true. Coming down the line.
I think that you can kind of call the book ending, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that it unfolds in an organic way where it opens with his partner, who's even older than him, having to leave.
That's
and then
true.
you go, well, he's pretty old too, and he's been doing this a good long time, and he was one of the founders.
That's true.
And that's important to remember, is that he was one of the founding members of MIB, if I'm remembering it right? Didn't he say there were 9 of us, and he was one of them?
Yeah. That's true.
And so you get to the end of the film, and he was training him as a replacement, not a partner.
UFO made me miss Home Run.
One of the cool ideas about the tabloids too is that everything that happens in this movie is outrageous enough that if you put it in a tabloid, it would look ridiculous.
Yes, it would.
And it's in a universe where we buy it happens.
Yes.
Sonnenfeld is a genius.
It's pretty good. And now Jay's the one picking up the
tabloids,
and
right?
He's got the slick new glasses.
I like his collar. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Dennis Rodman. That dates this movie a bit for me.
And she mentions it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a funny gag, and they go for... One of the reasons I don't like that line... I don't hate it. I liked it in the mid-'90s when it was on, because like, Dennis Rodman was everywhere, and that was really funny. But one of the things I don't care about it in retrospect, I don't care for it with it, is that you get to the second one and it's just filled with those kinds of references, or at least there's a lot more of them.
You know who?
Michael Jackson's in that.
Michael Jackson.
It was actually Michael. It was real Michael Jackson.
It was real Michael Jackson. But another thing that I don't really, Johnny Knoxville. There's a time and a place for Johnny Knoxville. I don't think it was number 2.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, when I was a kid, and I don't mind confessing this, I liked this song.
I still like this song.
I like the song, but some people, I don't know. I guess a lot of people didn't like this. I like this song.
I like Will Smith's. I like Will Smith and his, if you can call it a music.
Yeah, do you?
Music career, if you will. That might be a stretch.
I think he was for the time, I think he was a decent lyricist. I don't know. It was fun anyway. He was.
Huh?
What were you gonna say?
Oh, nothing.
He had almost as big of a recording career for a while as he did a movie career.
Yeah.
He was really big.
As Eminem famously said in one of his lines, Will Smith don't gotta cuss in his raps to sell records.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I love that. That was one of the things I always respected about him.
Yeah.
You know me, I respect anybody who can
Keep it clean.
who can keep it clean and everybody likes him anyway.
Lord knows I have trouble with that when I'm doing your videos.
That's all right.
You remember you had to bleep me a couple times, but generally I know when to hold it.
You make it sound like as difficult as if somebody tells you have to wait to go to the bathroom. It's all right. I'll hold it if I have to.
Oh dear.
Oh, this is fun.
That is a solid movie,
It's
though.
fun. Just like you finish the movie and then you can sit here and listen to the song again. I don't know. By the way, the music video for this song was fantastic.
Yes,
it was so much fun.
It was. We could read the credits. I'm kidding.
This is a pretty short movie, but like we said, I think it gets everything done, and
most
just
everything.
sitting here just sitting here talking about it. Boy, it flew by, didn't it?
It did. It really did. As most of the time when we're talking about movies, that really does just fly by.
It's a lot of fun to do these, because like, you know, when you're watching a movie, a lot of the time, obviously, just getting together with people, you don't want to talk through it the whole time, but it's a really interesting exercise when it's something that you know pretty well.
Yes.
Because you'll actually, sitting here vocalizing it and thinking about it, you'll pick out stuff you never noticed before.
That's right. And not only that, but like I had some things to say that you had never noticed, you had some things to say that I'd never noticed, and that kind of starts the whole thing.
Picked up stuff we hadn't noticed before either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like when the roach guy comes back a second time and she kills it a second time. Like
I had never thought before. Well, now he just blew him up.
Yeah, like where did that second bug come from?
They've got him all over them.
Yes,
it's like in that in that episode in Lost where the dynamite explodes and Hurley's like I got some artst on me.
Yeah,
that's always fun.
I didn't watch much of Lost, but I did see that episode.
You actually saw that episode. That's funny. Oh, I love Lost. Anyway, that has nothing to do with anything.
Just like most of the other stuff we talked about.
This would definitely be in my top 3, I think, of science fiction films from the 90s.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely would be well toward the top of the list of sci-fi comedies. Most certainly.
Sci-fi comedies, you know, of what I've seen, I'd say it would be up there too. I mean, but I can't think of too much.
I said that I don't. Maybe not top 3, certainly top 5, but maybe. Right. I mean, Terminator 2 would be up there. You know, there's some things like that.
Don't hurt me when I say this.
Yeah,
I have not seen the Terminator movies.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. And honestly, I had seen Terminator 2 when I was a kid, and the first one too, and I hadn't seen it for a long time. Yeah, and then I watched it again for Rewind United, and fell in love with it all over again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really great. I gave it a 3.5. It's a really good movie.
Isn't T2 the one that changed everything? Like the graphics in T2 were just like
very huge deal. Yeah, I mean,
like the liquid metal guy, right?
It's a technical achievement, but it's also a solid flick.
Right, and that's why I've always wanted to see it, but
I'll watch it with you. I'd like to see it again. Sure.
Yeah.
And you don't even need to really see the first one that badly. I mean, because the thing is, the first one wasn't that popular. It very much stands on its own. The first one's decent too. I mean, you know, it's still worth watching.
You know, I've never seen it, but that doesn't mean we still couldn't do a commentary during the first time I ever see it.
I don't want to do that. I make a policy not to do that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. I mean, it might be a fun exercise, but I don't love doing
That's
that.
all right. Just thought I'd ask.
Well, it's the sort of thing where you have to when you're trying to talk during a film that you've never seen before, and you're watching it with somebody else that has. You spend most of the time explaining things to the person. I mean,
that's true.
It can be very irritating for an audience. I mean, it might be fun for me and you to just do it. It's not something I would want to record and try to have people watch.
That's true. That's true.
So yeah,
This was filmed at Sony Pictures Studios,
yeah, you're right. It says that.
Culver City, California.
Well, hey guys, that's going to be about it for us. Thanks everybody for listening to Geeks on Nerds, the podcast. I hope you enjoyed our podcast commentary on Men in Black. And do you have anything else to add?
I think this is a solid movie. I think it still holds up, even though the technology could seem a little dated. I think this movie still holds up, though. And it fits very well in the perspective.
You know what? The date on this is actually 97.
Okay.
As we're seeing this, and okay, it was Malibu. Okay, so that's the thing. It actually was always Marvel, but see, Malibu was an imprint of Marvel, and so they did more. They did smaller, kind of more underground things. So it's technically part of Marvel, but it's an independent project,
right?
Which means that it's completely creator owned.
Okay, but to finish my thought really quick.
Yeah,
it holds up with how I think they handled it very well in the fact that how humans would perceive aliens on the planet.
Yeah, like I said, everybody seems to be
lots of
real
people would be just shocked.
Appropriate that we have the Amblin ET logo.
That's right. Columbia Pictures.
Well, do you want to come back at some point and do 2?
Absolutely, and then 3.
Everybody, thanks a lot for watching. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Brandon.
We'll see you later.